What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour on 990 WBOB, the number one radio program for all things Bryant Athletics. I'm Brian Kostiw reporting to you remotely. I'm joined, as always, alongside by Matthew Carvalho in our Sprout co-working studios. Matt, how you doing tonight?
No, I'm doing great, Brian, because it is the greatest day of the calendar year.
Absolutely. We heard Tom Harkness talk about on his last show. He's out at PC for their game tonight, and it's official. College basketball is back, and we have a ton to talk about. We actually have a 2-hour special edition of the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour coming at you tonight as college basketball kicks off. We'll look forward to hopefully talking with both of Bryant's head basketball coaches, Jamion Christian and Lynne-Ann Kokoski. We'll also talk with head football coach Chris Merritt and head women's soccer coach Andy Biggs to break down his team's win last night against UMass Lowell in the America East Conference quarterfinals. So, Matt, it's going to be a great show tonight. It's going to be an action-packed with a ton to talk about. Obviously, Bryant women's basketball just hit final over in Smithfield. They defeated CCSU 70-50. It was an incredible game over there. They ended up having a remarkable second half and actually held CCSU to just 3 points in the fourth quarter and scoring 25 of their own. Early on in the game, Central Connecticut really looked to have control, and then coming out of the break, Bryant really just stepped on the gas, and it was taillights from there. Incredible performance. 4 Bulldogs finished in double figures. You had Mimi Rubino with 15 points, Nia Scott with 15 and 9 rebounds, Mia Mancini with 13 points, and Miranda Nyborg with 13 of her own. Incredible performance from them. Lynne-Ann Kokoski starts off her third year in Smithfield with a win. We'll start there, Matt. Obviously, the men's team is still going right now out in Siena, but for this women's basketball team, ranked third overall in the preseason poll and starting off the year right with a win, a lot to be happy with for Coach Kokoski and the women's team over there in Smithfield.
Absolutely, Brian. They are certainly proving at this early point in the season why they were ranked third in the conference. And a very impressive win over Central Connecticut. And look, I think it doesn't matter what conference it is, at the end of the day, it's D1. And any game in which you're winning by more than 20 points is certainly impressive and means to be looked at in a great light, that this team is kicking off their season high and proud with a 20-plus point win over Central Connecticut.
Yeah, and I think, Matt, when you look at this too, they are, returning, 5 starters to this lineup with Rubino, Scott, Mancini, Nyborg, and Boba. So they're going to be a very interesting team to see this year. Martina Boba also finished with 9 points in this game, so a good quality game for her as well. And it's very interesting to see how this offense really works. It's a very good spread offense, and they're really kind of shuffling and being able to move around the court very well, and they're able to implement the 3-point shot very well too. And early on in the game, there were some struggles with that. We saw that with Mia Mancini in the first half, but then the second half she really started to heat up and finished the game 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. And then as well, you'd look at someone like Miranda Nyborg, who came back this year and really has had an impact on this team as a captain and has really been a leader. And she was able to go out tonight and have a good performance. And then I think the story was, in my opinion, Mimi Rubino. Started off the game 1 of 5 from 3, added 2 more down the stretch, finished 3 of 7, but poured in 15 points and also had 2 steals in the game, 4 defensive rebounds. She was really doing everything for the Bulldogs. And I think that when you look back to last year, you saw that maturation for her happen in real time. That 3-point shot got more and more consistent, and we started to see that as they got into the America East playoffs. If they can build on that this year, I think that there is a very high possibility we could see them at least in an America East Conference championship game, if not having the chance to win it.
Oh, absolutely, Brian. I think this team is looking to continue to build on today and just the entire offseason and what this team's been building for quite some time. Coming up just close the past couple of years, this team made the adjustments they need, and today proved that they're certainly on the right track to have an impressive season and to hold their own when it comes to America East play, because before you know it, it's going to be January.
No, exactly. So it's been very interesting to see what they'll do there. And, for Coach Kokoski, it's kind of nice for her having the, some, familiarity in the room. When we've talked to her previously on the program, she was saying that it's nice when she doesn't have to be the one talking every practice. And, when she's leaving a practice, still having her voice, she considers that to be a success since you have other players in that team stepping up and helping direct things around there. So really excited to see what they're doing right now. But also happening right now is the Bryant men's basketball team. They're playing right now against Siena. They currently trail by 8 out in Albany by a score of 41-33. Timofey Rudovsky is your leading scorer at the moment with 10 points, 3 of 4 from the field. So the Bryant men's basketball team, Matt, I didn't know if you had a chance to see tonight. Started off the game, relatively a bit slower than they had probably wanted to. I think they trailed at one point by 12 points in this one early on. But now as they look to kind of get into their system a bit more, they're hoping to, figure things out a little bit more. And you're starting to kind of see that system that Jamion Christian was talking about, where it's going to be very pass heavy and you're going to see a ton of 3-pointers. I think we saw some issues with that a bit early with some turnovers getting in there, but it's starting to settle down a little bit now. So we'll see how that kind of goes. But yeah, Matt, just give me your thoughts on the men's team right now as they open up their season in Albany.
Well, Brian, look, when you start off a season, there's going to be growing pains. There's going to be adjustments. We've seen them get into some foul trouble. We've seen some turnovers. We've seen some mistakes that, look, when you look at the team a year ago, you didn't see that as much, especially later on in the season. But look, this is a completely new regime. This is a completely new makeup of a team. You're going to see things differently when the season starts off. You're going to see these players mesh, get to really know each other when it comes to big games and games with significance, because it's one thing to play together in practice at the Chase at 3 p.m. and it's another thing to really start off the season on the road in a game like this. So look, I mean, we'll see where the rest of the game goes. There's still plenty time to go. At this current point, the Bulldogs trail 43-33 to start off the second half, but we'll see where things go throughout the game.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And, Matt, this is a very interesting team. They're going to be one of the taller teams in the nation right now. You have 2 7-footers in that lineup. And, when you look at guys like Timofey Rudovsky and Keegan Harvey, they bring a lot of experience to the table. Obviously, Rudovsky is on the younger side, but Harvey has been around the college circuit for some years now. And it's really interesting seeing how they've been able to mesh with some of the returning players like the Aaron Davis, the Ja'Kai Robinsons of the world. So it's been interesting to see how those guys have all worked together. As this game continues, I think Bryant fans and people will maybe want to see getting more into the game would be getting Quincy Allen more into the offense. I know that they said during the broadcast in that game, in one of their scrimmages earlier in the year against Southern New Hampshire, he hit 9 3-pointers in that game. So I think they want to be able to get him more involved from beyond the arc. But, Quincy is a very explosive athlete. We actually just saw in the game in the first half, he had a mean rejection on a Siena player and was really making things happen. So we're seeing the promise there. But I think that, as we get further on into this second half, where you want to see Quincy start to heat up here.
Absolutely. I mean, look, he was one of the major acquisitions of this team during the offseason. So he's definitely someone that, you put in your eggs in the basket that is going to have a good season. And look, I mean, we see what it is in one half, but I think as this game goes on, we'll see a bit more of what he is made of in a game like this, where you're trailing, you're getting towards the end, and you see how he steps up and how he takes into that role as one of the key players for this roster.
Yeah. Someone else who I kind of would be interested to see them go to a little bit more would be forward Daniel Akue. We saw him earlier on in the game hit a big 3-pointer that was rattled up near the shot clock and finally fell down for his first college points. But, we saw some turnovers with him. It was some kind of issues with ball handling. And I think I kind of want to see what it can look like when he starts slashing and going towards the rim. I think that, from some of the tape I saw in him during his time in the Afro Basket League, it seems that he certainly has the ability to affect that game in that way. So I'd be interested to see what happens when Coach Christian gets him moving towards the rack. So I'd be really interested to see how that happens, Matt. But we're going to head off to a quick commercial, Matt. But when we're back, we're going to be joined alongside by Bryant head football coach Chris Merritt. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to a 2-hour special edition of the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour on 990 WBOB. Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour here on 990 WBOB. Brian Costa, Matthew Carvalho joining you here on this Monday night. Before we get into our next guest, we just want to say that tonight's broadcasts are brought to you from Sprout Co-working. For all your co-working needs, from large meetings, office for a day, working remotely, events, or just trying to get away from the distractions at home, Sprout Co-working in Providence, Rhode Island is the place for you, the official co-working partner of 990 WBOB. And now joining us on the phone lines via the Sprout Co-working phone lines is head football coach Chris Merritt. Coach Merritt, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Brian. How about you?
Doing great, Coach. Well, first of all, we'll kind of just start off with you with an opening statement from the weekend, and then we'll get into it.
Sure. You know, we for the second consecutive week, we faced a really good ranked CAA opponent. Monmouth came in with a very high-powered offense. We knew that we had to win the turnover battle and have some breaks go our way. I think in the first half, we played them pretty tough there, toe-to-toe. Picked off the quarterback a couple times in the first quarter, but a little disappointed with our execution, especially in late in the second quarter and in the second half that led to the final score. You know, anytime you drop balls and put yourself in a spot where you cut receivers loose down the football field, you know, it's just going to be tough to overcome opponents like that. But we're not going to cry about it. Let me dust ourselves off, get up, get ready to play the next opponent. We have to hit the road to Albany this week, and we'll look forward to it.
Absolutely. When you talk about those turnovers, one of those was via Tunde Amparu, who got his second interception in his second straight week. I know we talked about it on last show about some of the personal matters that were going on with him. And, you know, for you, with him being able to still show up, you know, week in and week out and really still be able to perform at a high level, just, you know, how, what does that kind of just say to you about, like, how inspired have you been by what he's been able to do over these past couple of weeks with everything that he's gone through?
Sure. You know, he played great. You know, there was we felt we saw some things on film. Both he and Liam Lindo both saw what they saw and triggered and undercut out routes on the sideline. And Tunde took his back for a touchdown, even though it was called back. I can't say what I think about the calls. I think I get in trouble if I do. But we were able to put the ball in the end zone as an offense there. And it's just great to see Tunde get better and better.
All right, perfect. All right, well, obviously, you were talking about Tunde and what he was able to do for the team. And, you know, obviously his touchdown got called back, but the touchdown you guys did have in this game was scored by Colby Keenan, scoring his second touchdown of the year. And, you know, something that's always kind of been, you know, at least a portion of your guys' offense is being able to have tight ends, being able to be, you know, good and, you know, have a good impact in that offense. In years past, we've seen it from guys like Connor Lathrop and Mark Taglieri. And, you know, we've seen Kobe come along these past couple of weeks. Just for you, how has that been kind of an emphasis for you guys to really get the tight ends more involved in the red area, or how has that kind of come about?
Oh, absolutely. You know, when I first got hired here, we had 0 tight ends on a roster, and we had to build that room from the ground up. And through effort like Hayden Panagos and like my first year, and Jahad Edmond, and then the kids that you just mentioned, and AC White, and all the way through this year to Kobe Keenan. You know, Kobe's a tall glass of water, man. He's 6'7", and quarterbacks know that you get down there near the goal line, and you just have to put that ball 6'6" off the ground, and those little 5'9" safeties aren't going to be able to get to it. And they're very effective targets for us in our offense down. That's a big point that we have when we recruit a tight end. We just show them play after play after play of tight ends catching touchdowns in the end zone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, you know, when you look in what this offense has been able to do in years past, and I think that just for you guys having that as an ability to something that's been added to your offense, just talk about how much more well-rounded that makes you guys when you talk about having the backfield of Elijah Elliott, Dylan Kedzior and company, and then the receiving core that we've seen throughout this year. Just talk about what it's helped you guys been able to get the tight ends more involved.
Sure. Well, I really think the best offense is spread the ball around. You know, I hate to get corny with you. You start talking about fantasy football, right? You know, how many of those offenses out there with the Chiefs, for example, can you pick up 3 or 4 players in fantasy football that are all Chiefs and they're all pretty good? You know, I think that's the key to a very effective offense, because you don't give a target, you don't give a bullseye for the defense to focus on, and that gives the opportunity for other parts of your roster to really step out and shine. And every game's been a little bit different, and we've been able to highlight different positions at different times throughout each game plan.
Yeah, absolutely. As you guys now prepare to head on the road, it's the first time you guys are leaving the Ocean State since September 20th. It's pretty crazy to think about just for you guys. Obviously, you guys had some success on the road earlier this season and were able to compete pretty well in some of those games. Just for you guys, what are you guys going to try to, maybe harken back to that had some of that early success to, have you guys try to be successful here against UAlbany?
Well, first thing we got to get some stability at the position of quarterback.
Sure.
We were down to our second and third quarterback, and now they got banged up this last week, and so we had to alter the game plan. But we got to get some stability at that position, and then we have to strain all four quarters. We have to strain to finish. In this conference, nobody's going to give us anything.
Yeah.
We've got to match the effort, and we've got to strain all four quarters to finish the job. And the good news was today, after watching film, our guys were ticked off. I mean, you could tell, especially some of our older leaders that know that we are better than what our record indicates. Guys are starting to get mad now. As a coach, whenever you're not having as much success on the field, guys can either get negative or they can get mad. And I choose the mad part because that means that they know the determination piece of it, and hopefully we can look for Bulldog and we should get that down on Saturday.
Absolutely. You guys obviously had a close game against UAlbany last year. It was a one-score affair here in Smithfield. What is going to be some of your guys' maybe keys to success you guys are going to try to have as you guys go to face them on their turf this weekend?
Sure. I know offensively they've had some struggles. We have to shut down that offense. I mean, we took one on the chin. We had the number one rushing defense in the conference before this last weekend, and he took it on the chin from a pretty good rushing offense in Monmouth. We got to get back to that. We have to hold this team to less than 100 yards rushing for us to and make the quarterbacks beat us, because that's, again, where we feel that they've struggled a little bit. Offensively, we got to get explosives. When we throw the ball down the field, we got to catch the darn thing, and we will be throwing the ball down the field quite a bit this week. And we're going to have to put ourselves in spots where we can get up and make their offense one-dimensional, and that's going to be the game plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, we wish you guys the best of luck this weekend. It's Saturday, November 8th in Albany, New York. We'll talk to you soon. We appreciate you also sticking through with the technical difficulties. We'll talk to you soon, Coach. All right, that was Coach Chris Merritt joining us here on the program. Matt, obviously, we're going to be heading off to a commercial pretty soon, but just give me your overall thoughts on the team as we head in to the weekend.
Well, yeah, Brian, look, I mean, you listen to what Coach Merritt says, and by saying that his team is angry, they certainly at least care. And that they want to continue to get better and continue to do what they can within this season and beyond, and continue to try to right the ship as they have a few games left here in CAA action.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, we're going to head off to another quick commercial break, but when we're back, we're going to be joined alongside by Andy Biggs, head coach of the Bryant women's soccer team. We're going to discuss their historic quarterfinal victory over UMass Lowell yesterday and preview their upcoming semifinal match against the University of Vermont. Don't go anywhere. It's a 2-hour special edition of the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour on 990 WBOB. Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour here on 990 WBOB. Brian Kostiw, Matt Carvalho on a special 2-hour edition of the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour. We have got a lot to get into over the next 90 minutes or so. But before we do that, we want to welcome on our next guest of the evening, women's soccer coach Andy Biggs. Coach Biggs, how you doing tonight?
How are you?
Doing good, Coach. Obviously, congratulations on the win yesterday. We'll start off just with your opening thoughts from the game.
Really happy for our team. I think it's been a really good season. We've worked really hard, and things really went our way over the course of the night. I think we played some good soccer, but we're tough at times and resilient, and definitely stood up to the pressure of the penalty kicks.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a crazy penalty kick series as that went down. Obviously, Maddie Luke had the eventual game winner, but just talk about what went into that penalty kick order and setting up Maddie for the win there.
I think we've been sort of working on penalty kicks over the course of the whole fall season. Actually, we did
Yeah.
a shootout back in August after one of our preseason games, which was sort of our introduction to penalty shootouts with an eye toward what could happen in a tournament scenario, and we've continued to layer them into practice over the course of these last couple of months, and have rehearsed a couple of penalty shootout situations over the last week or so, and again, all sort of factored into the decisions that we made in terms of who would be the goalkeeper and who would be the penalty shooters, and Maddie was certainly one of those.
Yeah, it's a very unique situation for you guys. You obviously played UMass Lowell only 3 days prior to this game, and you had a very quick turnaround before you faced them again on their turf. Just talk about what you guys were able to take away from that first matchup and help prepare you guys for this past game.
Over the years we've had a lot of close games with UMass Lowell. I think the game the Thursday prior was no different. I think we once again showed that we were up to the challenge in terms of just being ready to go from the start. I think we started quickly on Thursday, scored the first goal, and we're unfortunate to give up a goal not too long after we had scored. But I think for us it was just sort of another step toward the tournament, and definitely just further confirm that this is where we belong.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Bryant's first time advancing to the America East semis and advancing past the first round in Division One program history. Obviously, an incredible achievement. We are we congratulate you guys on. Just how proud are you of what this group has been able to accomplish this season in the face of everything that they've gone through?
Very proud of our team. I think since we joined America East, just over 3 years ago now, it's been for us a challenge to improve each and every year, and I think we've definitely done that. I think last year making the tournament for the first time was a big step, and I think it gave our team sort of a look at maybe what the future may hold. And I think this group was certainly dedicated from the time that game last fall against Lowell ended to now. I think it's something that we've been building toward. They spent a lot of time together in the off season, just continuing to sort of hone the culture and strengthen the bonds within the team, and continue to work on parts of our game where we saw there was some room for improvement. And really proud of just the dedication and the togetherness that they've shown over the course of these 12 months.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. It's as we speak to you now, it's a year to the day of that Lowell game last year, and basically almost a year to the day later, you guys are able to go out and defeat them after they took you guys out in last year's playoffs. Just I know every win and getting everything like that is going to be satisfying, but is there something a little bit more satisfying, especially to these girls being able to get the win over a team that had their number last year in the playoffs?
I think maybe in some ways, just it's winning a game in the first round of the tournament is a big step, but
Yeah.
beating a team that defeated you last year, just it maybe kind of validates just the efforts over the course of the previous 12 months that much more, to know that you're sort of matched up with the same team, and this time around you're more than prepared to get the job done.
Absolutely. When you talk about some of the players that have been at the core of that, obviously you have Maddie Luke last night who got the game winner. She's been, making a name for herself on Sports Center and doing everything like that. And she's been great throughout this season. But just, what has really impressed you about her development throughout this season in particular?
I think Maddie has, just year on year taken her game to the next level. She's been a 4-year starter, so she was quite talented when she arrived here at Bryant, but she has never sort of rested on her laurels. I think every year she's stepped forward and tried to add bits and pieces to her game, and she's been a versatile player over the course of her time here at Bryant. I think she sort of played on the wing as a freshman. She played in the center of the midfield as a sophomore. She played wing back last fall, and since last spring she sort of played as an attacking midfielder or a center forward. And so that versatility that she's been able to capitalize on her game has made a big difference for us over the course of the season, without a doubt.
Absolutely. And then obviously, as you look ahead with, in the cage, you had Selena Negron, who's been dominant this season alongside with Shannon Mejia. They together recorded their 10th shutout, expanding on that program record that they've set this year. Selena is, currently leading in the NCAA with a 944 save percentage. She's been outstanding for this group. Just, when you look at that tandem and how they've all worked together, just, what are your thoughts on just how they've all been able to work and, have that thing going this year?
Incredible. I think when we spoke back in August, we knew that we had two very talented goalkeepers, both capable of playing significant minutes for the team. And, we wanted to make sure that they stayed sharp over the course of the season and stayed healthy. And they've more than done that. And I think just the way that, they've handled that job share has been really incredible. And I think speaks volumes about the sort of the culture and the team ethic that exists within our program right now, and in large part to players like Selena and Shannon, who obviously both deserve to start and both deserve to finish games, and they've just handled the circumstance really well. They bring some some different attributes with them, but for our team, it's been a big benefit to have them both play in each and every game. They've been tremendous over the course of the season, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. When we talked to Selena just a couple weeks ago, she really credited you and the entire coaching staff for the development they've been able to have over this year. Just what can you say about your coaching staff? Helping yourself and get these players to this place now.
We're really fortunate, I think, in the people that we have working with our team on a daily basis. I think Lauren, Lucas, and Brian Lynne-Ann have been tremendous in terms of the soccer knowledge that they bring and their relationships with the players. And then we also have the benefit of Christine Lavrod, our trainer, and Mike Ferry, our strength and conditioning coach. And the players see them every day as well, and so it's been definitely a team effort from the people who are on the field, sort of coaching and practices and those kinds of things, but to have Mike and Christine kind of working hand in hand with us has been awesome. We've been really healthy over the course of the season, and that's in part to the work that the players have done to prepare themselves for the season, but also just the great work that Christine and Mike do to keep us healthy and keep us improving over the course of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously, as you look ahead to your upcoming competition this Thursday against Vermont, you played them to a 0-0 draw back earlier this season on their turf. Just talk about some things you guys are going to look on to, as keys to the game as you head back up there this Thursday.
I think for us, just continuing to maintain the mentality that we've established over the course of the season. We know each and every game in the America East is going to be a tough one. Vermont is certainly a tough opponent. Presents some unique challenges, and the fact that they play maybe a different formation than some other teams in the league, but one that we were able to match up well with in our previous game, and we look forward to the chance to play them again.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, obviously you have a very motivated senior class. We've had the chance to talk with some of them. Just talk about that motivation and how excited they are for this upcoming game.
I think they're very excited. You can see it just, whenever we're together, whether it's for a team meal or just getting onto the bus, getting off the bus, whatever we do together, there's a lot of smiles on their faces. And, I think that senior group has sort of had the whole America East experience, sort of coming in as freshmen. And many of them were coming to Bryant thinking they were going to play in the NEC, and found out sort of, a couple of months before they got here that we'd be playing in America East. And they've embraced the challenge of sort of, helping us to go from one step to the next year in and year out. And they saw us, what it was like there at the end of the first year. We had a chance to maybe make the tournament, but weren't able to sneak in, and there's just been growth each year, and in large part to their talents and to their character. They've just continued to plug away and welcomed each new class into the program with open arms, and have built a really strong foundation in terms of our team and what we will look for as we move forward as well.
Absolutely. The Bulldogs will take on the Catamounts this Thursday, November 6th at 6 p.m. Coach Biggs, thank you again for joining the program.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care, Coach.
You
All right,
too.
Matt, well, we're back in studio now. Obviously, really glad to have Coach Biggs joining us on the program. And, obviously throughout this year, we've seen the Bryant men's soccer team, with national rankings and notoriety getting a lot of praise. But the women's soccer team, had a tremendous upset against UMass Lowell, Bryant being the number 6 seed, Lowell being the 3, and taking them down at Lowell. And, last year, this was a Bryant team that fell in this exact game last year. UMass Lowell came away with the 2-1 victory, took them out of the playoffs, and it was the start of a really good run for Bryant, where they, finally had made the America East tournament, and it was a great sign of progress for them. But now, they not only make the tournament, they win and advance to the semis for the first time in school history. It's a great accomplishment for them, and it's an exciting time to be watching collegiate soccer here in Smithfield.
Oh, absolutely, Brian. I mean, look, this is just continued signs of success for this team to now get past this point, move on to the next round. And look, when you win one, why can't you win two? So it's always good to see progress in this regard. And look, I mean, like you said, soccer in Smithfield is just a wonderful thing to see. I mean, soccer in Rhode Island. I mean, you got Bryant in the men's side looking to make a deep run. You got the women already winning a game in the America East playoffs. Heck, if you really want to get into it, I mean, you got Rhode Island FC winning a playoff game yesterday. So soccer in Rhode Island is just beautiful. You got Bryant hosting the World Cup practice, like the training grounds there. I mean, if they host the World Cup game, that would be immaculate. But hey, I mean, look, I mean, soccer, especially just in Rhode Island and in Smithfield, is certainly just growing and getting even better.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy to see how that sport has grown throughout the Ocean State. Obviously, Bryant was the original host, location for RAFC during their inaugural season back in 2024. And then, as you said, they're now going to be a base camp site for the World Cup. So it's incredible to see what's happened, with the sport in Smithfield. Obviously, as we had said on the men's side, Coach Ruben Resendez has done an incredible job revitalizing that program. And then Coach Biggs has been, steadily getting this program, into, better shape each and every year. So it's exciting to see how that's all gone down. It's really exciting. Before we go to commercial, we'll just do a quick hitter on the Bryant men's team. Looks like Siena is starting to pull away here, leading 71-50 in this one. Timurdowski still leading it with 12 points. Aaron Davis getting into double figures now with 10 of his own. But Matt, obviously, we're going to hopefully be joined alongside by Jamion Christian around 9:15, maybe 9:30, depending on timing. But just give me some of your thoughts right now as, we're looking at this game here.
Well, Brian, anything can happen, any given Sunday, as the saying goes. No, I mean, look, it's definitely just a slow start for this team. I mean, disappointing to see here. I mean, we'll see what they do with the remaining time, but in a realistic sense, doesn't look hopeful for the Bryant Bulldogs. But again, like we said earlier, this can be simply a growing pains game. I mean, you look at even if you want to look as far back as last year. I mean, they didn't start off the season too hot, and you get into conference play, and it's a totally different gear. So, look, I mean, non-conference play is all about the players meshing and getting to know each other and how they play together, and to see where this team can fall later on in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of what this is all about right now. It's kind of feeling that kind of stuff out. And, I think we'll have to see how this works. And I think there maybe were some growing pains to be expected here. None, just based on the fact that it is going to be a new, dynamic system instead of maybe the classic ISO ball that we've seen in the past. With that, you might be able to rely on just, player skill in the one-on-one game and just setting up things like that. Whereas here, you're running plays, you're trying to get those things to all work. And, it's finally doing it against guys in a different jersey. There is kind of a feeling out period of that. And with it being a new team, there's going to be those kinds of growing pains, which I think you come to expect. So I think for Bryant, we're going to have to see how the rest of these, next 6 minutes or so play out in the game. So we'll keep you, we'll keep tabs on that as we head later on into the night. But first things first, we're going to head off to a quick commercial. You're listening to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour on 990 WBOB. Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour here on 990 WBOB. Brian Costa, Matt Carvalho joining you here on the program. Before we get into our next guest of the evening, we just want to tell you to join the WBOB team this winter watching your Bryant Bulldogs at the Chase Athletic Center. Single game tickets for men's and women's basketball are now on sale at BryantTickets.com. For more on the Bulldogs, listen right here to the Bryant Bulldogs Sports Hour on 990 WBOB. Now joining us on the Sprout Co-working Expert Hotline is Lynne-Ann Kokoski, fresh off her first win of the 2025-26 season. Coach Lynn, how you doing tonight? First of all, welcome into the program. Congrats on your first win of the season. We'll start off tonight just with your opening thoughts from tonight's game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously first game jitters, really slow start for us. And then once we kind of settled in and got into, our groove and do what we do, obviously great fourth quarter and kind of blow it open there at the end. So.
Yeah, it was really great. Like you said, you guys really were able to blow it open. At one point, from the 134 mark in the second quarter, you guys went on a 42-11 run at one point. The offense really seemed to explode at that time. Just after a slower start like that, just what really started to kind of work well for you and this team?
Well, we always talk about, generating our offense from our defense, right? Getting rebound and just get out and run. And, I thought we held them to 0% from the field in the fourth quarter, which is incredible stat. I don't think I've ever done that in my entire coaching career here. And again, just rebound and run. And I thought, our conditioning really, showed up. And I thought, all that time and extra work we've put in the preseason, that was on display in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, obviously, sometimes maybe, after a start like that, some teams might get down and, might back away from the challenge like that. Just talk about the resiliency of your players being able to stay in the fight and get the job done.
Yeah, we talk a lot about one possession at a time, just chip away, in every timeout, every media, and I think they really buy into that. I didn't think we panicked today at all. I just said keep it simple and, I use everyone in this room. And I thought once we started really sharing the ball, I think we had 19 assists on 26 made baskets. And that's Bryant basketball right there. But that nitty-gritty toughness, rebound and run, that's who we want to be.
Absolutely. You had four players finish in double figures on the day. Mimi Rubino being one of the leading scorers with 15 points, finishing 3 of 7 from three. We got to see her at one point really starting to, feel it as she was getting some of those shots to drop. Just, we saw that development from her last season. Just talk about what it's like with her being able to carry that into this year.
Yeah, I'm really proud of her. I've met very few people that work as hard as Mimi Rubino. And I told her, she wants it. She's one of the most competitive kids I've ever coached. And she spends so much time in the gym outside of practice. So she deserves all the success that she gets. And I always believe as a coach, I've told all my players since I've been doing this, basketball truly rewards hard work. And that shows up every day for her. So I couldn't be more happy for her, proud of her. And obviously, she's in her last go around. So, really rooting for her this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Joining her in the as a leading scorer today was Nia Scott. She also had 9 boards. We've also seen her really, round out her game, at the end of last season, and that's carried over into the start of this year. Just when you look at Nia, what has really just impressed you about her as, from, that transition from last summer to this fall?
Yeah, I mean, she again, another really hard worker, shows up every day. I call her dependable. You know what you're going to get out of her every single day. Great attitude, energy, effort, great teammate. And again, just another worker. So, she put in the work this summer and you're seeing that as well. And she's played a lot of minutes since her freshman year. So really proud of her and how far she's come along. But, she's still got some to go, which is exciting. And we still have her for 2 years, so that's
Yeah.
even more exciting.
It's very exciting. Obviously, she helped you guys down low along with Miranda Nyborg and then Rose Nelson collecting some boards down there. Just what really impressed you about your guys' tenacity, getting the ball off the glass?
Yeah, that was a big thing. And again, they kicked us on the boards a little bit in the first half. I think we were -4 maybe going into halftime, and that's not us. It's a huge key. We've talked about that, especially since last year. You got to rebound the basketball, especially on both ends of the floor. And so once I think we locked into that, again, when we rebounded, we were able to push the pace on Central tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have a very deep returning cast of players returning this year, and I think that that was really able to help you guys in pulling away in this game. Just talk about what it's been like having them all back. These five five main players of Rubino, Scott, Mancini, Nyborg, Boba.
Yeah.
Just what they've all been able to kind of really help with establishing the culture this year.
Yeah, I mean those guys, the five that you just mentioned right there. I mean, you talk about great leadership. Played a lot of minutes for us. Those 3 juniors, Mia, Nia Scott, and Boba, a lot of minutes since their freshman year. So two years of understanding our system, really helping us transform this culture. And then you look at Mimi and Miranda coming in, who've played at a different level and really trying to help us elevate Bryant women's basketball. So the combination of those five has been tremendous. And I tell our players all the time, like coaches play players they can trust. And those were the five that you saw in the game in the fourth quarter. And again, they've got great chemistry. Once they started, rebounding and running, they had fun with it. Love the celebrations from the bench, love the celebrations in the game. So that core five has some great chemistry. I'm really excited for them.
Absolutely, Coach. I know we're gonna let you go pretty soon, but before we do, obviously the marathon started. You guys have another game against Cornell coming up this Friday. Just talk about what are going to be some of your keys going into that one. I know you said on the post game broadcast you want to bring that gritty mentality back to this team. Just talk about what it's going to take to do that.
Yeah, it's gonna, take a few days of really tough, focused, dialing in practice. Again, you got to protect your home court. Don't let someone come in here and, take it from you. So yes, we want to get back to that tough, gritty, Bryant women's basketball that everyone always talks about.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we really appreciate you taking the time, obviously, following tonight's game, and we congratulate you once again on the win.
All right. Thanks, Brian. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, Coach. Go Bulldogs. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right, well, that was Coach Lynne-Ann Kokoski joining us here on the program. Matt, really glad to get her take on the team and obviously the game following this one tonight. As she said, like they didn't panic in this game, and they were really able to get off to a great start in that second half. I mean, just when you look at a team holding an opponent to 3 points in a fourth quarter, that's ridiculous. I mean, they shut Central down in that second half, and Central really looked like they had, some sense of command in the game going early. And like Coach Lynn said, it was some of those veteran, players able to come back and really, establish that here. And I think that, seeing what they were able to do here, it's really special. And I'm excited to see what they'll do here, the remaining stretch of the season.
Absolutely, Brian. I'm very excited to see what this team has in store for us. And look, I've been waiting for this team to break through, and I think this is the year where they certainly could go on a run that's going to be remembered for quite some time.
Yeah, and I think that, when you look at some of the depth pieces this team is going to have, you look at Abby Lindsay, obviously, she didn't finish, probably where she wanted to in the scoring column today, but she's going to play meaningful minutes on this team. She's going to be involved in this offense. Rose Nelson's going to be involved in this offense. You saw Izzy Adams, who is a freshman, who was playing pretty considerable minutes early on in this game. Despite some early turnovers, she is going to be someone who's going to have to be an impact player on this team. And I think that, Coach Lynn isn't going to be afraid to necessarily empty the bench with this team. She wants to have a deep lineup, and I think that she's incredibly confident in what these players can all bring. So I'm very excited to see what the women's basketball team here at Bryant is going to bring to the table. But Matt, we're almost at the end of the first hour of the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour. We're going to head into the Bryant Bulldog post-game report here in the next hour. We'll be recapping, obviously, this game along with the Bryant men's game against Siena. That game is almost over with a minute left in that one. Siena is leading that one 79-66. Timofey Radovsky leading the Bulldogs with 15 points. Aaron Davis with 14, and Khalil Williams with 12 in that one. So that game will go final pretty soon. We'll be joined alongside by head men's basketball coach Jamion Christian around 9:15. And then we'll see from there. We're also going to open this next hour up to callers. Matt, if you wish, let's release the callers and get that number out there.
That's right. If you would like to give us a call and tell us what you think about them Bryant Bulldogs, it's 401-310-3943.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, we're going to head off to a commercial break. When we're back, we'll be joined alongside by head men's basketball coach Jamion Christian in the second hour of this Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour special edition. Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour here on 990 WBOB. It is the second hour of our college basketball opening night special. Brian Costa, Matt Carvalho joining you here on Monday night. Bryant men's basketball has gone final out in Albany. Siena picked up the win 82-66. Bryant's Timofey Radovsky led the Bulldogs with 15 points and was 3 of 3 from beyond the arc. Siena's let's see here for Siena. Tasman Goodrick led the Saints with 22 points and 11 boards. So Siena picks up the win here on opening night against the Bulldogs, spoils the potential homecoming there for Coach Jamion Christian. But obviously, Matt, we'll get right into it here. But, just give me your opening thoughts on this game. Obviously, maybe not the game that the Bulldogs were hoping for tonight, but we'll start tonight with your opening thoughts.
Well, look, I mean, Brian, it was certainly a disappointing way to start the season. Not the way you would have hoped the Bulldogs to start off the win. I mean, look, I am the certified homer of everyone here at 990 WBOB. I like to think that they're going to go like 38-0 and win the whole tournament and get everything done, hoist up that trophy in April. But look, it's a tough pill to swallow that they start off with the loss. But look, I mean, we've seen other great Bryant teams do this in the past, and they start off a bit slow and they figure it out as the year goes. And we've seen other teams do this as well, where it starts off a bit on the downside slope, only for it to get better as the season goes on. And I think that still is going to be something that holds true with this team. And I know this first day is a hard thing for all of us. I mean, I'm not happy about it either, but I don't think this is going to be the story of this team going forward throughout the season.
Yeah, Matt, I tend to agree with you there. I think that it'll be interesting to see how this all develops throughout the course of the year. Obviously, I was with the Bryant men's basketball team last year, obviously, when they went on to March Madness, and I was at a game where they played Grand Canyon out in Arizona only a couple days after Christmas, and it was right before New Year's Eve, and they ended up losing that game by over 60 points to a team that eventually in Grand Canyon that went to March Madness in their own right. But that was a game where Bryant, was struggling with some injuries, things weren't going their way, and they let a game get away from them there. But the story of that team wasn't about losing by 60 to Grand Canyon. It was about a team that overcame a bunch of obstacles and was able to make it to a big dance and make a run in an America East Conference playoff. I don't know what the story of this Bryant team will be this year, but I think that they have a chance to not let this one define them as we go into the season. But some takeaways now that we can finally see what a final, scorebook looks like in the Jamion Christian era. We did see a ton of three-pointers in this game. Bryant finished the day 10 of 22 from beyond the arc, 45.5% from beyond three. And then, like I said earlier, Timofey Radovsky, who's, a younger freshman, 21 years old, though, coming into this program, had 15 points in his collegiate debut, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and, was able to make some plays early on in this one. And then, we saw some returners for Bryant. We saw Aaron Davis, have a career day. He had 14 points, shooting 6 of 12, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc, with 14 points. And then Khalil Williams, who was a redshirt last year for the Bulldogs, we saw him make his collegiate debut. He ends up dropping 12 points on 4 of 11 shooting and 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. So interesting to see how his college career will start to go here. But we saw that debut, and then we ended up seeing the debut of Ty Tabalas too, who ended up finishing the day with 5 points, 2 of 6 shooting. There's going to be a lot of questions about where the future of the team is going to be going. I think that we'll try to get into that with Coach Christian when he joins us, hopefully around 9:15, 9:30 or so. We'll see what that looks like. But Matt, I think that when you look at the team, there's going to be some questions about maybe the lineup and how that was all kind of constructed. I think that when you look at maybe a guy like Ja'Kai Robinson, who played meaningful minutes on Bryant's team last year, only played 2 minutes this game. And I don't know if that's as a result of injury or other things like that, but I know he wasn't around in the starting lineup. So it'll be interesting to see what Ja'Kai's role is this year. I know that I had, high expectations, thinking that he could maybe thrive in an offense like this, where it's very pass heavy, and Ja'Kai has that kind of a facilitator mentality. So I think that he could be someone who could thrive in this offense, but we'll have to see how that all comes about. But we saw that. And then, something that kind of surprised me was Quincy Allen, who we heard from Coach Christian talking to the Siena reporters previously, made 9 3-pointers in their scrimmage against Southern New Hampshire, and I think went off for around 35 points or so was what was being reported at the time. He finishes this game with only 6 points, 2 of 8 shooting, and then 0 of 2 from beyond the arc. He did have 3 blocks, but also got into some foul trouble picking up 3 personal fouls. So interesting to see how that'll all work out. I think if this Bulldog team wants to be successful, Quincy Allen is going to need to be a big factor in that. So we'll have to see how that all transpires. But Matt, just in terms of what this offense is going to look like, it seems like they're going to really try to spread the ball around here. What are your thoughts on how that's going to look in terms of them being successful here?
Well, look, I mean, you can ask anyone on the street, and they'll tell you ball movement is the most important thing in a basketball game. But look, I think it really does come down to this offensive structure and who's out there on the court, who the starting five is, who's coming off the bench really determines how that ball is going to move on the court. And look, I mean, looking at this game just as it is on its own, I mean, I was certainly a bit puzzled with Ja'Kai Robinson, and again, I don't know the full scope of it and what the questions on that are.
And that's the thing too. So I don't want to speculate necessarily on that, but that was something that I did notice in the box score there.
Right. I mean, it's just something to ponder on. What will his role be going forward as the season goes on, and some of the other guys as well. How much will we see of them, and how are they going to play in this sort of scheme going forward throughout the season? And I think this is a lineup that you can tune around with and kind of put different guys in different slots and see what works. I mean, that's kind of what this time of season is for. This is to kind of see who meshes where and kind of throw them around and figure out what works. But I mean, just at this game in a scope, I think there's definitely different things to tune around to see how this ball is going to move a bit better.
Sure. Yeah, I think we'll have to see how that all works out as we go. But Matt, before we do go off to a commercial break, just give me some of your thoughts on what you kind of see the expectation for this team being. Obviously, it's one game in, but now that we have the opportunity to see what this team looks like, just give me what your expectations might be for this group.
Well, I mean, I'd say first, my expectations for this team is improvement. I think at this point, the place to go now is up. And at least, look, I mean, if you want to look at it this way, you start off the season like this. The expectations after this first game, most people probably don't have the highest hopes after seeing a blowout. But I think in terms of this, the expectation should be to give it your all at Georgia Tech and to learn from this and see what you can do against a powerhouse and continue to work on what you have now. And by the time we get to America East play, for this team to be regarded as a team that is a defending champion and one to be reckoned with. So I think this team, the expectation now is to just get better.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Matt, we'll keep you posted. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. When we're joined back, we'll either be joined alongside by Coach Jamion Christian, or we'll let you guys know based on some timing. We might open up to some phone calls in the next segment, depending on timing. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Start packing those phone lines. You're listening to 990 WBOB. Welcome back to this special post-game edition of the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour here on 990 WBOB. Brian Costa, Matt Carvalho reporting to you here on Monday night. Both Bryant men's and women's basketball games have gone final here. Bryant men's basketball loses 82-66 out at Siena. Bryant women's basketball picks up a 70-51 win over CCSU. We'll be joined alongside by head men's basketball coach Jamion Christian very shortly. We'll be working on getting him on the line very soon. But before we do that, we just want to tell you guys to call in. We have the phone lines open and ready for all of you. Make sure to call in at 401-310-3943. Again, that's 401-310-3943. So we're going to open those phone lines up. We'll be having Coach Christian on in just a couple minutes. But Matt, just, again, as we kind of enter back into the program here, who are some players that you're going to maybe try to look to as we go further on into the season? I think that we got a good outline of some key players to start this year, but just give me some of your, some players that you're going to want to see some improvement from as we continue this season.
Well, Brian, I have to say first, I think one to definitely keep an eye on and continue to watch his improvement would certainly be Aaron Davis.
Sure.
And, I mean, you just see what he did from the bench. I mean, 14 points for the evening for him is a great start for his season. And, I mean, look, he's continued to get better as the year's gone on. I mean, you go a couple years ago, he'd play a bit here and there. Last year, he was a core part of that team until he was derailed a bit with injuries. And now we're seeing how he rebounds to start the year. And he definitely started off strong, even from the bench. So I think he's going to continue to be a core piece of this team, looked at as a veteran with a lot of experience, especially with that Bulldog lineage. So I definitely want to see how he continues to lead this team as a core longtime Bulldog going forward.
Yes, absolutely. As we look forward to it, Matt, just one moment, please. Yeah, like again, like he's going to be able to do some, let's see. Sorry about that. But yeah, as we look ahead to this season, I think Aaron Davis is going to be a very key piece. I think that we're going to see that maturation for him this season. Um, we saw him last year have his moments, and there were some key ones at that. I remember on that stretch where you were at, say, UMBC and NJIT. He went on to some great runs and had back-to-back double-digit performances. So he's going to be someone I think this team definitely leans on. We'll be, excited to see what he does this year. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be having Coach Jamion Christian joining us here in just a couple moments. Matt, we have Coach Christian joining us now here on the Sprout Co-working Expert Hotline. But how you doing tonight?
Yeah, I mean, could be a little bit better, but just a learning and starting point for our group. And, it's just important to put it as such. So it's a starting point, a learning opportunity for us. Just got to be the best team that learns the most through the course of the season.
Absolutely. Obviously, Coach, first game is in the books. That's kind of now something that's just kind of that pressure is kind of gone. Just, now that that's kind of been established, just, what do you think about, just what this team kind of you look to improve on as you guys continue, through these next couple games?
Just about us getting our discipline at the right levels. The possessions where we had great discipline, we were able to get defensive stops. We were able to take care of the ball offensively. It's just about getting the right level of discipline in the right places. Again, I'm really confident we'll be able to do that. But just a night like tonight, we just couldn't get over the hump. We got it down to 8, got it down to 9 a couple times, just couldn't get over the hump because of our lack of discipline.
Sure. When you look at a player like Timofey Radovsky in his collegiate debut, post 15 points in this one, just what impressed you about him early on in this game?
Well, Tim's a guy who plays in the games. I mean, he's a guy that shows up every day, but you really expect him to play when performance arises. And we really believe that he's going to have a great year for us. And his size, ability to shoot the ball, and his understanding of the game is just really impressive. Great that he was able to get in here first college game and to play that smoothly and that cleanly. He's only going to keep getting better.
Yeah, we saw 2 returners for Bryant have pretty big performances for you guys tonight. We had Aaron Davis and Khalil Williams with both posting double-digit scoring efforts. For you, just what kind of impressed you about those guys? Obviously, you really complimented them as men for coming back to this program and really showing out. Just what kind of impressed you from them in this game?
Well, I think for Khalil, it's a little bit different. He hasn't played any college basketball yet. So wanted to get him a lot of minutes and let him get aggressive and go score the ball. He's a guy I really believe in as a guy that can make plays for our team on the offensive side of the ball. But he needs some experience on the floor. And then when you look at Aaron Davis, he does have a bit of experience. His shooting ability is unique. So again, trying to help him build his confidence and get himself going a little bit. Been a reserve player the last couple of years, but he certainly has a chance to have a much bigger role in our system with the way we shoot the ball and how we play defensively.
Absolutely. When you kind of look at, this team having the chance to finally get that system going, just, how do you feel that they are now prepared having one game under that belt?
I think we'll certainly know that, when we get back to practice on Wednesday, kind of see where we line up against Georgia Tech on Friday. But, it's really just about being able to show them the film, keep getting better at it. This group's done a great job all year when we've been able to show them the film, show them their game grades, and then go in and attack that. So I think if we're able to go and do that, I think it'll put us in the right spot. And I think that's really the biggest thing we need to do here. Just assess where we did a good job of, 10 made threes not only out of 22 attempts, not enough 3-point attempts for us. We definitely want to be at more like 55% of our shots taken from 3. But that is about the 20 turnovers. So, we'll look at why we turned the ball over and how we turned it over. And just try to correct that. See if we can get that 20 down to 12. That's 8 more possessions. That kind of changes the trajectory of this game, doesn't it? So, we'll really look at those kind of aspects right there and try to improve it.
Absolutely. As we look ahead to Georgia Tech, where are going to be, what do you kind of see as some keys to success for you guys heading into that one?
We got to get ourselves right. You get yourselves right by giving yourself a chance to shoot the ball every time down the floor, making teams really guard our talent. We really weren't able to get a guy like Quincy Allen going tonight, and he's a guy who's capable of having huge games for us. So, he's a vital piece for us. But, good to see a guy like Keegan Harvey get a lot of minutes in there, really give us some stability at that 5 spot, that center spot, able to get to the front of the rim and be aggressive there. So, again, we're pretty encouraged about some of those things. We want to see those things keep growing when we go in against Georgia Tech.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck against Georgia Tech. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Take care, Coach. All right. Well, that was head coach Jamion Christian joining us here on the program. Obviously, there's still much to be improved and still much to be desired through with the team as they go on. But, he did, say that there were some keys that they want to be, successful on as they go forward. They want to be able to get those 3-point attempts up to around 55% in this one to get them, back in kind of what they're playing, what their offense looks like. I think that, in this one, they ended up finishing 45.5% from the line. I know in the field of 68 media day, I think he said he wants that tick around 51%. So, obviously there's room for improvement with this group, and he looks to see that as they go forward. But Matt, just give me your first, takeaways from this.
Well, I'll say, Brian, my very first takeaway is that I saw Tristan Hobbs' name pop up on the screen, and I thought I was going to hear his voice on here at first, but, delighted with Jamion Christian's, but, that was my initial thought. But no, look, I think it's pretty much to what I've been saying. I mean, this is a first start to the season, seeing how they are, and I turning their attention to Georgia Tech now against a complete behemoth of a test, a Power 5 school. Again, it's just going to be another test to see how this team competes against a squad of that nature. But again, I want to just see how this team does November and December, and to give us a good gauge of what January through March is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Matt, like we said, like games in November and December, and even January aren't going to, really depend on that much. I mean, January is more conference season, so that will have more of a play. But the games that are played in 2025 really is just the test. That's what it is right now. So, but this Bryant team is going to find out what they're made of. You're going to get to see what they kind of have as we continue forward into this year. I think that, of course, after a game like this, there's going to be much to be desired. And I think that those guys on that bus ride home, they know that. They know that there is still much to be desired, and they're going to go back to the gym and really try to give it their all. I look forward to what they're going to bring to the table against Georgia Tech. I think that, it's going to be a good challenge for them, and I think that, I don't know, how Georgia Tech is going to fare and how Bryant is going to fare against them, but I think that, facing good quality competition like this early in the season, it's something you need to do. And you need to go through it, and you need to face it, because if you don't, if you just play, a weak schedule and you go into, America East competition, which is a gauntlet, you're going to struggle. And I think that, this is a game tonight where Bryant maybe takes their lumps a little bit and doesn't go their way. But I think when you look at the landscape of the America East, you look at Vermont, for example, who had in both of their exhibition scrimmages ended up losing to Division II St. Michael's and only ended up beating Division II St. Anselm by I think 2 or 4 points. So I mean, and that doesn't speak for everything in terms of the conference. I understand that, but I think that when you look at it, it is pretty wide open. And I think when you look at this team, there is the intangibles of a roster that can compete in that conference. I think that it is there, but I think that, after getting a game under their belt, they're going to have to hone this system. They're going to have to be able to put up more shots, and, kind of making a pro comparison. It's almost kind of like the Boston Celtics, where, if they're making their shots, then things are going well for them. And if they're not, then maybe they struggle a little bit more. So I think it's going to be maybe, I don't want to compare it exactly to that, but it's very similar in the sense that, if you're running this system where you're, running 3-point shots, you need to be able to, be consistent from there. Because if not, it's then becomes tougher to rely on those other shots. So that's kind of my take of it. When we're back from commercial, we're going to open up the phone lines to you guys and let you guys call in and give your opinions. Once again, we'll get the phone line out there to you guys. If you want to call in, make sure you call in at 401-310-3943. Again, that's 401-310-3943. 3943. Call into the program. We want to get your thoughts on both the men's and women's games. We look forward to hearing from you all. You're listening to an extended edition of the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour. Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour, the extended edition here on 990 WBOB. Brian Kostiw, Matt Carvalho joining you here on this Monday night. We're opening up the phone lines to callers now. Make sure you can call in at 401 310-3943 if you want to call in and get the numbers there. So we highly encourage you reaching out to get in touch with us. We want to be able to get in touch with all these fans tonight. Matt, do we have anyone on the phone lines right now?
Sorry, Brian. Not yet, Brian, but we are certainly guns a-blazing. Lines are open as we are waiting.
Nice. All right. Well, we should have, hopefully should have some calling in pretty soon. But Matt, obviously, as we recap thoughts from Coach Jamion Christian, again, as we look at this team, there's going to be some interesting pieces to see how it goes. You look at Timothy Radovsky, who, as a freshman, put up 15 points with, making all 3 attempts from the 3-point line and, really being able to affect the game that way. And then you look at Keegan Harvey, who comes over from GW, originally was recruited by Coach Christian, but never had the chance to play for him at George Washington. He finishes with 6 points in this one. It's going to be interesting to see how this team ends up being on the glass. Bryant, traditionally has had a strong rebounding unit. And I think that when you have a leading team like this, it's going to be definitely one that, can continue to, keep that reputation going. And then, having blocking, as a, part of this game as well. Quincy Allen had 3 blocks in this game. And then so did Daniel Akue in this one. He tallied a block of his own. And Bryant was, a leading team in the nation in blocking last year. They were really elite at that. So I'll be interested to see what they end up doing. But yeah, it's been a very, unique team in the years past. I'll be interested to see how they go going forward. But yeah, Matt, it's been, obviously not the night they were looking for, but I think there's a lot of promise with the height that this unit brings.
No, absolutely, Brian. I still think you look at it, you have a lot of bigs on this team, something that Bryant has been able to produce and have for quite some time. I mean, that's just something you're used to now with this Bryant scheme, and that they're going to have the bigs, they're going to have the guys that can block, and that's just been honestly part of this team for a while now, and just an overall part of their identity. But I think as time goes on, we're going to continue to see what this team's complete identity is, because we're used to what we've seen over the past couple years, and that the identity changes as the years go on and pieces stick around. There's still that overall Bulldog identity, but I want to see what this team is in 2025, 2026, who they truly are as this season continues to go on. And we'll see as we get closer and closer through the season into conference play.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what this team does. And especially when you look at the depth that this lineup is going to end up bringing. I think that when you look at someone like Ashley Sims, who's a freshman who played 22 minutes tonight, he only tallied 2 points in this one, but that's someone that they are really interested in this year. You look at Lenny Weber, who's come over from playing at the University of Toronto. He was someone who's had quality numbers just north of the border here, and I think that they hope that he can maybe contribute something for this Bryant team. And then, Daniel Akue, who ended up only finishing with 3 points in this one, I think that he has the opportunity to really bring more than what he showed tonight. I've gotten the opportunity to see what he's brought to the table, and he really looks like he has a ton of athleticism. I think that for him, some of the challenges we saw tonight was the ball handling for this team. And with it being a very pass-heavy team, maybe some of those sets weren't all kind of there at the start, and we saw some, some misguided passes. We saw some errors, with dribbling the ball and letting things get away from them like that. So I think that kind of affected them there. But yeah, I think that's something they're going to look to improve on. And then with Quincy Allen, I'm, eager to see what he could do moving forward. I think that, this wasn't the game he was looking for tonight, but I think that there is still much that he can bring to the table. I think that not only can he be a dynamic player, stretching the floor and making highlight reel blocks and dunks and doing all those things. I think that, he also has the ability to shoot the 3 ball. And I think that he needs to get going to be a really dynamic scorer for this team, because I think that you can have players like a Tim Radovsky, Aaron Davis, Khalil Williams making plays, but I think that Quincy Allen might be the key that makes that engine go for this team. And I think that, when you have those complementary pieces with a Quincy Allen that's firing on all cylinders, this could be a very scary looking Bryant team. But I think that he's going to have to be unlocked, hopefully before this Georgia Tech game to get them going.
Absolutely, Brian. And I mean, look, especially with Quincy Allen, and I talked about it quite a bit earlier on my program, that I think that he's certainly someone to look out for this season. And, if you look back in the America East preseason ratings, they had him on like the first all team for the conference. And look, I think the expectations should be higher for him. And I don't think it just comes down to being on that sort of level. I think he should be someone that you can look at as a guy that should be in contention for the MVP of the conference, for the player of the year, and all those sorts of accolades. I think that is where he should be on the pedestal, and I think he's someone that's going to continue to get better, and when we get into that point, can prove that that is where he belongs and that is where he should be when all is said and done this season.
Yeah, and I think another key point that Bryant's going to want to focus on as they go, into this Georgia Tech game will be foul trouble. I know, from watching the broadcast early, with still a considerable amount of time left in the first half, they had, I think, three of their starters. I think it was Quincy Allen, Keegan Harvey, and I think it was Aaron Davis that all had three personal foul or multiple personal fouls on them at that point. I think they all had two. And, that's something that they're going to want to have to clear up because, when you're playing with those personal fouls, you have to play safe. You can't, be going as hard on defense maybe as you want to. And that affects how you play your game. And I think that this is a Bryant team that wants to showcase some physicality. And when that's taken away from you early in this one, that can affect you.
Absolutely, Brian. Well, hey, Brian, phone lines are going on.
Absolutely. All right.
Well, let's caller from the 401.
Absolutely. Well, let's welcome in our first caller of the night.
Hey, how's it going? First time caller, long time listener. I'm ready to talk some Bryant basketball.
Absolutely. All right, how are we doing tonight? Let's get your opening thoughts on the team and just let's hear it from you.
I'm a little concerned about the shooting on this team. I mean, past couple of years watching the team, they've been living and dying by the three. And last year, obviously, it worked out pretty well for them. But from what I saw tonight, it's not looking too great. And it looks like a lot of ISO ball too, which is what we saw 2 years ago when that team was led by Sharif and Antoine Walker and Charles Pride. A lot of ISO ball, a lot of people trying to be heroes. And last year they kind of just were a great team. There was no one superstar player that was really leading and carrying the team. They spread the ball out a lot, which is what the key to Bryant basketball should be. And it didn't really look like it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some concern there. I think that it is one of those cases. And I think that, they're going to be wanting to, get more quality 3-point shots in this one. I think that Coach Christian has stressed that. He is someone that, I think that when you look at some of these players, there are guys like Timofey Radovsky. You looked at Keegan Harvey, who made both of his 3-point attempts. Quincy Allen, while he played limited minutes or at least had limited points in this one, those guys were clicking from beyond the arc. Khalil Williams rather had 3 of 4 from 3-point range. So, I think that, you're going to want to have to see more of those shots go down. But I think that when you look at this team tonight, you're running a different system and a different style offense. So I think that you're going to see some of those bugs early on.
Agreed. I'm excited to see the direction that the team goes. I mean, wasn't able to tune into the whole game tonight, but saw bits and pieces of it. Excited for the home opener next week versus Dartmouth, raising the banner. I'm excited to see what direction Jamion kind of leads the team in. What do you think the keys are to the success this year?
Yeah, I think that the keys, it's going to have to be finding, who's going to be that, those dynamic scorers. I think that, in years past, like guys that you mentioned, like Antoine Walker, Sharif Gross-Bullock, and then, most recently with Earl Timberlake and Ralph Pinzone, you had guys that you knew you could lean on. And in my opinion on this team, that guy probably would be someone like Quincy Allen, just based on his track record, what he's brought to the table. And I think that we've seen this from, maybe his key guys in the past. Like there were a couple games where Earl Timberlake, maybe was limited to like 8 points or something in a game. And like something just wasn't there. But then you had other players like Connor Withers go off for 27 points and lead the team to victory. But then, I think in this one, it's going to have to be, if you want to be successful, you're going to have to maybe see guys like him really start to become like alphas on this team. And, and maybe not always be the leading scorer night in and night out, but, have a good share of the points and, helping out those other players.
Agreed. One thing that was so special about Earl was that even if he shot 2 for 7 and didn't have that great of a game, he was still finding other ways to impact the game, whether it was on the offensive rebounds, assists. He was a great vision. But that was one thing special about Earl that I'm hoping at least someone on this team could find that and have that guy to kind of bounce off of.
Greatest Bulldog of all time.
Yeah, Earl's great. It's tough to just say like, oh yeah, you're gonna find someone who can replace Earl Timberlake. The fact is you're not. Like that's not going to happen. At least at least not with this team. I mean, you have some great players on this team, but Earl Timberlake was a very special talent and a very different talent than maybe what this team's trying to run. Like you said in the past, we've seen some iso ball. I think that they're trying to get away from that here and play more of a passing style offense, creating shots for one another. I think that's kind of more what they're trying to do here. But I think that. Again, it's going to be trying to find out what this team can do and affecting the game in all areas besides just the scoring. And I think that with the height this team has, like we've talked about with Tim Radofsky, Keegan Harvey, Daniel Akue, and Quincy Allen, like those guys are hopefully going to be able to affect the game in more ways than just scoring, being able to, get balls off the glass and, rejecting shots like Quincy did tonight with 3. I think that's going to be one of the keys to things as we go forward. So, that's my overall thoughts with that. Listen, I appreciate you calling in. I really, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Absolutely. Well, go Bulldogs. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Go Bulldogs.
All right, take care. All right, well, that was our first caller of the night. Phone lines are still open. Matt, we got anyone on before commercial?
We do not yet, but that means our phone lines are ready to go for any callers at 401-310-3943.
All right, we'll be back in just a couple minutes on the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour. Final home stretch on this 2-hour special. Closing time here on the final 2 hours of the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour here on this Monday night. Brian Costa, Matt Carvalho joining you here this evening. Matt, I don't know if we have anyone still on the phone lines, but before we do that, I just want to thank everyone for tuning into tonight's broadcast. It was great having the chance to talk with everyone from Coach Merritt, Coach Biggs, Coach Lynn, Coach Jamion, and then even welcoming in some of our callers tonight. It was great to, get the chance to do this, with college basketball opening day and having it fall on a Monday. It was only fitting to get the chance to do this. So, Matt, really glad to get the chance, having the ability to, do this tonight.
Oh, absolutely, Brian. There's nothing like a 2-hour special. I mean, hey, just wait till we get to March Madness season. We could do a 4-hour special. We could just keep the envelope going.
Yeah, live from wherever they're doing it. I mean, listen, it'll be fun. Like, I mean, I'm all ears, Matt. Like, I love it. I love the chance to do this and get the chance to connect with everyone here in the Bryant community. And, we encourage you all to listen to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour. Episodes are available, on the Down to the Wire Spotify and YouTube pages, as well as at BryantBulldogs.com and at 990WBOB.com. So there's plenty of ways to watch the show, tune in, and do what you need to do. But yeah, Matt, coming up in just a couple minutes, we're going to have Chuck Finley's Undercover Blues. So stay tuned for a late night edition of that show. But Matt, as we close out, we discussed a little bit about the men. I want to go back to the women's team real quick, obviously earning that big win over Central Connecticut, a great one at that. This was a great team win for them. And I think something I didn't necessarily talk about with Coach Lynn was Mia Mancini, who's in her junior year now at Bryant, was, a rookie of the year, in her first year here and, had a good, kind of went through some struggles her sophomore year, but was really able to find her groove towards the end of that season. And this year comes back out again. And, not gonna lie, in the first couple opening, maybe the first half of the game, there were some struggles there. But nevertheless, she was able to overcome that. She finishes the game with 13 points, 4 of 8 shooting from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. So, she was really able to get the job done. She had a steal in that game, 5 assists, and then a rebound. So she was able to be a pretty, well-rounded player out there for the team. And, if this team wants to have success, it's going to, rely on her. And I think that, we've seen that growth with her from year in and year out. And, that sophomore year is where you're going to maybe have some struggles because now teams are game planning for you. They have the film on you. They know what you're going to bring to the table. But, this junior year, that's the year when you really want to see that growth continue because, this is where you have the chance to really, showcase, all right, like, yeah, you've got the film on me now. I've gone through those struggles, but now it's time for me to take over this league.
Absolutely. I mean, look, and you see it in all walks of sports, when it comes to that sophomore season, whether it's college hoops or if it's the NFL or whatever it is, that second year is always that, make or break year in terms of do you get better or do you regress? And, you get all those guys that kind of know what you're doing. They kind of know your moves and motions. But if you can continue to get better, that just shows that you can advance. And if you can change your game and adjust it, no matter who they are, they know you. Well, they don't know what's next. And I think that's what you got to see. And that's what the improvement really comes to.
Yeah. And I think that you're going to see that improvement this year with this Bryant team, just based on the fact that they went through that, America East semifinal last year against Vermont. And that was a loss that really stung for them. I mean, I knew a ton of people, at Bryant in the community where, Bryant was sending fan buses up to Burlington. And I was almost on that fan bus and I actually almost went up and did a radio call for Bryant of that game. I ended up not going at the last minute, but they sent a good crowd of people up to that game, hoping to sway things in their favor. Obviously, it didn't go their way there last March, but you have a WNIT berth right after that. You have this team hopefully trying to continue to keep the good times rolling. And when you look at the players that have come back, they have a good chance to do it. And I think that having that collectiveness and having that familiarity with at least that starting five, that's going to help them a lot down the stretch.
Absolutely, Brian. And look, I mean, you mentioned the NIT last year, and I think that's still nothing to really wipe your nose at. I mean, the NIT is still a significant tournament, and that's still a bit of a taste of what it feels like to go dancing and get to have that sort of playoff run. So they got a bit of a taste of it and a bit of that motivation to get something even better than that and to chase that even bigger high of the NCAA.
Yeah, I think that's definitely on the table for them. I think that, obviously Vermont, they've beat them in the past and they've had the ability to really perform well against them at the Chase. And then you look at UAlbany, who's always going to be a perennial contender. So those teams are always going to pose a threat. But I think that, not to get ahead of ourselves because it's still November 3rd. There's still plenty of basketball yet to be played. You don't know how, this lineup is going to look come towards the end of the year. And you don't really know exactly how yet the America East is going to shape up. But I think that when you look at what this Bryant team has shown from year in and year out, and I think that if this game was played a year ago, I don't know if this Bryant team wins that game. I think there's a case to be made that, without the experience that they had gone through last year, after a first half like they had, they might not have come out, with as much of a fire in that second half. I know maybe Coach Lynn would disagree, but I think that the experience that they've had, has led them to be able to take better control in these games. And I think that's something they should take pride in and really take note of the fact that they've been able to make that kind of an improvement. So I'm really impressed with what they're going to do. I think that, when you have that good mix of a veteran presence of Mimi Rubino and Miranda Nyborg, mixed with, some younger, players like Nia Scott and, Martina Boba and Mia Mancini, it's going to be a very fun year. I'm excited to see what they'll all do. But Matt, we're at the end of the line here. It's the end of the road on the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour. Man, I just wanted to thank you so much for, working the ones and twos down in Providence and making this whole thing happen.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. I mean, look, been pushing through for the past 4 hours here on the air. Cannot wait in a couple moments to finally get to use a restroom. I've been looking really forward to that. But look, it's great to talk Bryant sports for what essentially has been about 3 hours. I mean,
yeah,
brooding into it on my show and now doing it here. But there's nothing like talking Bryant sports. We're back to basketball, Brian. We don't sleep till May.
I know, we're back to basketball. It's a good time to be a Bulldog. When we're doing next week, Matt, we're actually going to be previewing the banner unveiling and at the Chase Athletic Center. So it's going to be really fun to talk about that. The home opener against Dartmouth is set for November 12th. So we'll get into that next week on the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour. From Matt Carvalho and Brian Costa, have a good night and take care, everybody.